Welcome back. All right, no, I'm not done tonight. I wanted to do another video today, but obviously with the games being as busy as they were all day, the only time I can do it is now. And then after this is done, I turn in for the night and we go through it again tomorrow. Saturday is going to be another full day of hockey. So I've got all the teams on the board from Anaheim through Winnipeg. I went through alphabetical order. And picked out players that I think are key restricted free agents or unrestricted free agents for this summer. I wanted to look at everybody's cap situation as well. And for people who were really hoping next year's free agent class was going to be a big one, no. Next year's free agent class is not a big one, and there are still names on this board that are going to come off before July the 1st. That teams are going to either trade for these players and sign them, or these guys are going to decide to stay where they are and they're going to sign contracts. July the 1st, 2026 looks like a wasteland right now. Got to be completely honest. So we'll start with Anaheim because that's how the alphabet works. And I'm wearing a Philadelphia Quakers jersey because why not? Gauthier and Carlson are both restricted free agents for Anaheim. These guys are going to get major raises. The good news is Anaheim's in pretty good shape when it comes to the salary cap. Jacob Trouba's an unrestricted free agent this coming summer. He's 31 years of age. He's having a really good year. I wouldn't blame him for wanting to stay and for them to wanting for that. I wouldn't blame them for wanting to keep him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a bit of a discount to stay in Anaheim because it's made him play a lot better. At least it feels like he's fitting in a lot better than he did the last couple years there with the Rangers. Their current cap space, according to Puckpedia, everybody on this board, this is their current cap space according to Puckpedia. $16,227,888. That's pretty good. They're in good shape. Boston, I couldn't find anybody on Boston that's like a major pending unrestricted free agent or a major pending restricted free agent. I also couldn't find a lot of cap space. They have $1,050,000. So Don Sweeney has been on the record, at least was in the offseason, that the plan was to get back in the playoffs, and right now it looks kind of touch and go for the Bruins. But there's not enough space there for them to really add, and there aren't any pending unrestricted free agents for them to unload that are going to get them a lot back. So, yeah, Boston's kind of just in this situation right now. For Buffalo, Alex Tuch, 29 years of age, pending unrestricted free agent. I cannot see a situation where he's either not signed by Buffalo or he's not traded by the trade deadline. I cannot see Buffalo holding on to Tuch past the trade deadline without some kind of certainty that he's going to stay in Buffalo. Zach Benson, restricted free agent. Benson has had injury issues this year, but he's got the talent, so do you bank on him? Like, Buffalo, the weird part is they don't have a lot of cap space, $2,681,420, according to Puckpedia. So they're in an interesting bind that... They've got some guys who make some good money. They've got some really good players. They just don't seem to have a really good cohesive team. So this is a storyline we've had in Buffalo for a long time. Calgary, Anderson, of course, pending unrestricted free agent. We know that he's 29 years of age. I do think he's moved by the deadline. An interesting one is Cooley, the goaltender, 28 years of age. He is coming into his own. And this is what we always say about goaltenders, right? That goaltenders can develop later. They can suddenly become a growing concern in their late 20s, as Cooley has. And Calgary's got some cap space, $14,042,197. So I think Calgary's in a pretty good position. And it'll be interesting to see what Craig Conroy, now with his new contract, what he does with this team going forward. Carolina's in an interesting spot themselves. Nikishin's a pending restricted free agent. I think they probably get him signed. I don't think that'll be any kind of problem. But net. Freddie Anderson's 36 years of age. He's an unrestricted free agent next summer. This, I think, is probably his last year in Carolina. Bussy's 27 years of age. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent next summer. But I think Bussy's played well. So do you go with Kochetkov and Bussy next season and beyond? Does Anderson hit the market? Does Anderson draw a lot of interest if he hits the market? There's not a lot of goaltenders on the market, so he might. They have $11,027,803, according to Puckpedia, in cap space. So there's cap space there for Carolina. Should they choose to utilize that, I think they probably will. They may pick up a rental at the deadline. Be interesting to see what they do. Chicago, it's the big one. Bedard. Bedard's having his breakthrough year at the perfect time. It's year 3. A lot of players, it's year 3, and he's going to get paid. And when it's a lot of digits, when he's in that, 12 million range or wherever it ends up, I don't think we're going to be surprised now. Connor Murphy's a pending unrestricted free agent. It'll be interesting to see if he sticks around. Currently, $20,050,790 in cap space for Chicago. So there's a lot of cap space there. Colorado, nothing in terms of pending unrestricted or restricted free agents that Colorado would be really concerned about. Like, I could have filled the board with pending unrestricted free agents, but I just wanted to focus on some of the bigger names, some of the ones that are more conversation starting kind of types. Now, Colorado doesn't have a lot of cap space. They don't really care. They have $1,319,856 in cap space, and they're number one in the NHL. They haven't lost a game in regulation since about 1986. So, Colorado's in pretty good shape. Columbus, they have Charlie Coyle. He's 33 years of age. He's in the final year of his contract. Boone Jenner, 32. I'm not trying to, insinuate that Boone Jenner's going to hit the market. I would be very surprised if he doesn't stay in Columbus, but he is a pending unrestricted free agent. Fantilli is a pending restricted free agent. I think they would be wise to give Fantilli a long-term contract. I know that his numbers haven't been overwhelming this season, but he's got that level of talent. I think he's going to be a very good producer in the future, so long-term extension's important. And Greaves in net, he's the future for them. You could argue he's the present for them as well. You might put him ahead of Elvis a little bit. $16,767,027 in cap space currently, according to Puckpedia. So they have cap space, and they do have some other contracts that are going to come off the books next summer that will give them more cap flexibility. But I didn't want to focus on that. I wanted to focus on the big names. Dallas is still in a bit of a boondoggle in that Jason Robertson is having a ridiculous season. He's a restricted free agent next summer for 1 year. So Robertson is an unrestricted free agent if he signs a 1-year deal with Dallas. Dallas isn't going to want a 1-year deal with Jason Robertson. The more goals he scores, the more that price is going up for Robertson going forward. And then the scary part becomes, okay, so are we paying him based on what might be a career year? Let's say he gets 50 goals, might be a career year. And how does that contract negotiation go from there? So Robertson, that's going to be interesting. Jamie Benn's 36 years of age. He's not going to go anywhere other than Dallas, but he is a pending unrestricted free agent for July. Cap space, Dallas currently has $3,098,960. They've navigated the cap well enough to this point in the year, but it's going to be an adventure again next summer. Detroit, you've got Kane is 37 years of age. Talbot's 38 years of age. They're both pending unrestricted free agents. Detroit right now has they've pulled themselves out of that playoff spot again. They have $15,813,076 in cap space with which they could add. I'm not sure where you add. I look at Detroit and I see a good roster, and I'm not sure exactly where the issue is with them. So it'll be interesting to see what Steve Yzerman does between now and the deadline, what kind of pieces he might look to pick up. But if Detroit slides out of the race, do you move Talbot at the deadline? There's going to be teams looking for a backup goaltender. Do you make Cam Talbot available? Do you make Patrick Kane available? Does Patrick Kane at the deadline, if Detroit's not in the running for the playoffs, say, I might not mind going somewhere? So, and as crazy as that may sound now, it may change between now and March. The Oilers have both goaltenders pending unrestricted free agents. Skinner, who's 27, and Pickard, who's 33. They do not have cap space. This is the reason why for Edmonton there's got to be a level of panic here. $159,167 currently, according to Puckpedia, in cap space. They can't add. So for the Oilers, who are sitting at 10-10-5 and kind of meandering, they do not have the money to make any additions. And there are some contracts there that have, had people talking for a while. The Nurse one really stands out. Bouchard's gets talked about. I think Bouchard's a very good offensively minded defenseman, but they're paying a lot for that defense. So, yeah, Edmonton's in an interesting situation. Then you got Florida, Samoskevich, restricted free agent. I think that he's worthy of being on the board because I think he's got a lot of upside, and it might be smart for them to give him a 3 or 4 year deal and reward that upside. Bobrovsky, 37 years of age. Probably his final season in Florida, I would think, but maybe he signs a 1-year extension. Tarasov, also a pending unrestricted free agent. He is 26 years of age. Not a lot of cap space for Florida, $1,692,293. And when Tkachuk is back, they're going to have to figure something out. They get some relief with LTIR, not as much relief, of course, as in previous seasons. And once these players come back, you got to be cap compliant. So Florida has some work to do. While I'm still confident they're going to make the playoffs, there's some work to do here. And the one thing about signing everybody last summer and making sure everybody stays together, it didn't really give them flexibility. And so, yeah, it's going to be an interesting run from here. The LA Kings, Kopitar's in his final season at age 38. Brandt Clarke, restricted free agent. So do you pay Brandt Clarke based on his potential? Do you pay him based on what you think he's going to do or where he is right now? They have $3,845,439 in cap space. So the Kings, I think, are going to want to buy and stay in the hunt as close as all the playoff races are. I can see the playoff board from here. They're 2 points above the playoff line currently. So there's not a lot of room for error, but I really think that the Kings are going to want to go for it for that final year for Kopitar, right? Minnesota, Zuccarello's 38, Johansson's 35. Johansson's having a career year at age 35. Good on him. They have $4,203,776 in cap space. So not bad. Not bad for Minnesota. There's a little bit of cap space there. And Minnesota might be in a position to add. They ended that 10-game winning streak today for Colorado. And I thought that was a very well-played, evenly played game. And they showed they could hang with the top teams. So power rankings come out tomorrow night. Minnesota's definitely moving up. For Montreal, of course, Patrick Laine, who's been injured for a while now, so if it escaped your memory that he's a pending unrestricted free agent for Montreal, that would be understandable. He is 27 years of age. And with Laine, it's going to be interesting to see what his ask is for cap hit, if Montreal decides to keep him or if Montreal decides to move him. Laine still has that scoring potential. We see that, but he also gets injured enough that you may not want to pay a big dollar fee to hold on to him. It's going to be fascinating. I put Jack-Eye up because he's a restricted free agent. I think Arbor Jack-Eye provides something on that blue line that's worth some money. How much is it worth to Kent Hughes to keep him? And how many years do you give him? $3,592,188 in cap space for Montreal. So when Laine returns, it'll be curious to see where he slots into the lineup, what his numbers look like, and then where he's playing after the trade deadline, if it's still in Montreal, or if a move needs to be made. Because if his ask is too much, or if he just doesn't fit into the lineup, Montreal might be better off at moving him. Nashville doesn't have any pending unrestricted free agents of note. We know that O'Reilly is probably on the block. That seems to be the rumor. Stamkos seems to be on the block as well. There's going to be movement. They're not pending unrestricted free agents, though. But Nashville's got cap space, $7,731,275. So they have cap space. We'll see if Barry Trotz does something with that at the deadline. And that also means they can absorb contracts when they move them out. If they can find a taker for Stamkos, they can absorb some of that cap hit, right? New Jersey, Griciuk's a restricted free agent. Griciuk shows some of that potential, and I think there's still some upside there. Nemitz, restricted free agent. He's really grown this year. He has started to show why they drafted him so early. They would be smart to give Shimon Nemitz an extension. And I think it's going to be in that Luke Hughes range in terms of the cap hit. Not necessarily $9 million, but, I mean, can you justify giving Luke Hughes $9 million and not giving Nemitz, say, $6 million? Just say $6 million. Their cap space, $3,604,793 currently, according to Puckpedia. The New York Islanders, Anders Lee's a pending unrestricted free agent. He is the team captain. If he wants to come back, I'm sure he will. They only have $44,185 in cap space. I did a bit of a double take when I saw that. The New York Islanders don't have cap space. So currently, they find themselves just below the playoff line. I'm sure at the trade deadline, they're going to want to try to, stay in that hunt. It's going to be a challenge. They're going to have to move dollar out and dollar in. And the Rangers are in the same situation. They're right there. They're only 1 point between each other, the Rangers and the Islanders. Panarin's a pending unrestricted free agent. He's 34. I think we're starting to see signs of him getting older. And, mid-30s, it's dangerous holding on to a player when they're 35 and older, because you will see that steep decline in their offensive numbers. Jonathan Quick's 39. He'll retire as a Ranger, so if he decides to come back again for another year, they'll likely decide to hold on to him. But they only have $41,666 in cap space, so the Rangers do not have cap space to make any additions at this point in time. So if they make a trade, it's $1 out, it's $1 in. Or they go to a team that has a ton of cap space like Chicago and says, let's make a deal. And they send a contract their way. But it would probably need to be an expiring contract, considering Chicago doesn't want to pick up a bad contract right before Bedard becomes the richest man in the Chicago Blackhawks jersey. For Ottawa, they have Giroux, 37 years of age. We know he's going to end up retiring in Ottawa as well. Some of these veterans that sign the 1-year contracts or 2-year contracts, they're not going anywhere else. Jensen is one to keep an eye on, 35 years of age. I think that if Ottawa decided, Jensen, we could make available at the deadline. We've got depth on the blue line. I am only spitballing this. That's it. I'm not saying he's going anywhere. But there would be teams that would be interested in Jensen if he were to become available. Marilainen's a restricted free agent. Probably not going to get a huge raise, but he's going to get some kind of raise from them, I would think. They have $4,104,664 in cap space. So some good cap space there for the Ottawa Senators. Philadelphia, Trevor Zegras is a pending restricted free agent. Zegras is going to get paid. It is interesting because Zegras' contract has been seen as too high for years. I argued it was too high when he was in Anaheim. The way he's playing in Philadelphia, it looks a lot more appropriate. It looks a lot more accurate to his skill level. So does he get a raise with the salary cap doing this over the next few years? Probably. Dvorak, 29 years of age, just has the 1-year contract with Philadelphia. And then you got Drysdale's a restricted free agent as well. So you got Zegras and Drysdale, best buds, together again, and both of them looking for new contracts. And Philadelphia seems to be pretty happy with Drysdale. $10,192,379 in cap space. Philadelphia could be a team to watch at the deadline. If they stay in this mix, if they stay above that playoff line, look out. I had a feeling Rick Tocchet comes in, could have a good year, and if they add at the deadline, they could be kind of fun to watch in the playoffs because there won't be any pressure on them. Pittsburgh, Malkin's 39, pending unrestricted free agent. Things are quiet when Pittsburgh's playing well in terms of Malkin's going to get traded, and as soon as the Penguins lose 2 or 3 in a row, then we start seeing, so are they going to trade Malkin? No idea what's going to happen there. Shelovs is a pending restricted free agent, and I think he's probably going to get a 3 or 4 year deal with Pittsburgh, which I think is great. He paid his dues in the minors. That's how it works for a lot of goaltenders. It's nice to see Shelovs get that opportunity. They do have cap space, the Pittsburgh Penguins, $12,292,790. So while everybody's waiting for this final hurrah from Malkin, Letang, and Crosby, maybe they add to it and really go for it at the deadline. We'll see. San Jose's in an interesting position. Their salary cap space is a lie, so we'll get to that in a moment. Wenberg's 31, pending unrestricted free agent. Kurashev is a restricted free agent, but they only have 1 year of control, so he becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2027. Same situation as Robertson, but obviously Kurashev not as much of a goal hog as Robertson. Ferraro's 27. He's a pending unrestricted free agent. I can't see him going anywhere else, but how much is he worth to San Jose at this point? And Nedeljkovic, 29 years of age. If they decide, we can move a goaltender at the deadline, then Nedeljkovic would be a popular target, I would think, for teams that need an improvement at backup. They have $5,985,833. But tomorrow, Mike Grier could say, I'm going to put these guys on LTIR and free up a whole bunch of cap space. There's dead money on this team. And San Jose's really in the catbird seat. That below $6 million in cap space, total lie. Seattle, you have Jaden Schwartz, 33 years of age, pending unrestricted free agent. Eberle, 35. Tolvanen, 26. I think Tolvanen, depending on the month, like October he didn't score, November he did. So you pay him for November, October. So how much faith do you have in Tolvanen, right? Alexiak, 32 years of age. Alexiak would definitely draw some interest if he was available at the deadline, but Seattle's in a playoff spot, so you're not selling off at the deadline. They don't have as much cap space as people might think, $3,139,035. They have a couple of contracts that are high. The Grubauer one really stands out with a $5.9 million cap hit, and he's not a pending unrestricted free agent until next year. So next season, he's a pending unrestricted free agent. St. Louis is in an interesting position. Holloway and Broberg, both of them pending restricted free agents. So next summer, does Edmonton try to poach him back? We'll see what happens. I would think of the two, Broberg, I think, is the more important of the two, but I'm going to say that because he's a top 4 defenseman. Holloway still has that potential. Cap space for St. Louis, $1,986,933. So there's a little bit of cap space there. Obviously, St. Louis not in a great position right now, finding themselves... I mean, they're 4 points out of a playoff spot, which isn't a lot, but they are 2 games below 500, and they've got 7 points in extra time. They've only got 8 wins in those 25 games. So, yeah, they're not playing great. They're just finding ways to get points. Tampa, you've got McDonough, 36 years of age, pending unrestricted free agent. Currently, of course, on the injured reserve. Radish, 29 years of age. Darren Radish has very slowly become a very effective defenseman. He has stepped into Hedman's spot and played really well for Tampa, which is fantastic. And it's fantastic for his contract because 29 years of age, probably signs a 4 or 5 year deal. I would think he stays in Tampa. Their cap space currently $1,493,959. So Tampa less cap space than some of the others on the board, but they're first in the Atlantic, and they seem to be just getting better. That slow start they had, forgotten. Totally forgotten. Toronto, McMahon, 29 years of age. I was surprised Bobby McMahon was already 29, so that's why he's on the board. I feel like he should be younger than that. Nick Robertson's a restricted free agent next summer. We will go through it again, where he's out, and are they going to keep him? Are they going to trade him? He doesn't want to be there, and then he'll sign another 1-year contract. That's my guess anyways. Toronto has no cap space, $308,847. So Toronto finds themselves a game below 500, 6 points out of the playoffs. They do not have cap space, and the team doesn't seem to have the confidence. The team looks kind of miserable out there. Something's got to give. The cap space isn't there. Toronto hasn't been in this position in a long time, where they're just not very good, and they don't have the cap space to make the improvements. It feels like early 2010s with Toronto here. Utah, Nick Schmaltz, 29 years of age. I think he stays in Utah, but how much is he worth? He had a great October. He had a more mediocre November, comparatively speaking, with October. But they have $6,248,724 in cap space. They're currently above the playoff line. I think Utah goes for it. I really do. And I think Schmaltz probably sticks around. I don't think he hits the market on July the 1st. Vancouver, you've got Kane, 34 years of age. I will just say this straight out. I did not understand why the Canucks got Evander Kane during the summer. I have seen absolutely nothing from Evander Kane this season to show me why they got Evander Kane. During the game today, they have a power play, and Kane takes a penalty and pulls him off the power play. I'm like, yep, there you go. Yep. So I've not changed my mind on that transaction at all. I would rather that they've kept Dakota Joshua and not acquired Evander Kane, but that's me. Kiefer Sherwood's 30 years of age, probably ends up being traded, which is just going to rip my heart out when they do that. And Linus Karlsson, 26 years of age. He's actually a pending unrestricted free agent. Really hope he sticks around. The key thing is they got to be tougher to play against. They have $2,423,333 in cap space, and all the expectations are that they're going to sell. The loss today against San Jose, just another example of how the heart's there, the effort's there. Like, I'm not going to come down on the Canucks at all and say they're not trying. The effort's there. They don't have what it takes to get over that hump and get those wins. Vegas is finding themselves in a bit of a boondoggle here when it comes to finding wins. So Riley Smith, 34 years of age. He's a pending unrestricted free agent, one of the original misfits, of course. Dorofeev is a restricted free agent, had a great October, scored less in November. And Schmid is a restricted free agent. Schmid's been pretty good for them, too. So I think Schmid's earned himself the right to stay in the National Hockey League, but since they've got Carter Hart signed, they're going to have Aiden Hill for a while to come. Does Schmid become a guy that gets moved at the deadline? They don't have cap space, $450,068, because it's Vegas, and Vegas always is right up against the cap. So keep an eye on the Vegas Golden Knights. If they continue to struggle and they can't find wins, we know that that's not acceptable. They don't allow for it, so how do they react? What do they do? Who do they move out? For Washington, Ovechkin's 40 years of age. And the question I have with Ovechkin is, okay, so he's past the 900 goal mark. Does he want to reach 1,000? Is that at all in his brain? Because it's going to be a while before you get there, probably another 3 or 4 years at least, and he'd have to not slow down in terms of his goal scoring to get there, right? I don't know. And Ovechkin, to me, doesn't seem like the type that would make an announcement that it's his final year in the NHL. I think game 82 finishes, and if Ovechkin decides this is his last year, he just has a little press conference and goes, yeah, I'm done. And then that's it. And so I don't know what's going to happen there. McMichael's a restricted free agent. I think McMichael's a very good young player. I think there's potential for more offense there. And John Carlson, 35 years of age, pending unrestricted free agent. I can't see him playing anywhere other than Washington, of course. They have $3,778,016 in cap space due to the Washington Capitals. And they're coming into their own again. They've been very up and down, very hot and cold this year. Just my panic index has been very up and down, and they'll be up in the next one and probably down in the one after that. No idea. Winnipeg. We want to talk about panic. We get to Winnipeg. We finish with Winnipeg. In fact, let me just see. Get it. No, I don't want the New York Jets. It's not the New York Jets. We're talking about the Winnipeg Jets. Just go ahead and not the happiness one. That's not right. Let me just grab. Here we go. All right, here we go. So Winnipeg. Perfetti. So the panic magnet. I'll go ahead and show that to everybody. See, there you go. Perfetti's a restricted free agent this coming summer. Jonathan Toews is 37. Now, he signs the deal with Winnipeg. Clearly in Winnipeg, the offense hasn't been there for Toews. The team is not performing very well. Does he spend the whole year in Winnipeg? If Winnipeg continues to fade, and they're now 3 points back of a playoff spot, they have games in hand on teams they're chasing, but they're not winning the games they're playing right now. Does Toews become available? Comrie's 30 years of age. He's a pending unrestricted free agent as well. And they have $4,103,333 in cap space. The Winnipeg Jets, and what's interesting is that Canadian teams, we're really seeing some Canadian teams in having trouble. You've got Toronto, you've got Winnipeg, you've got Vancouver. There are different problems with these three teams, but they're definitely problems. And then you got Edmonton as well. So that's 4, where you can talk about problems that are related to cap, to performance, and you can probably pick out a contract on each one. Although Winnipeg's contracts are pretty decent, you can find a contract on the others, but you could say, yeah, that contract is one that's probably holding them back at this point, right? So yeah, I'll take the panic magnet off. That seems like kind of a bit of an overreaction. I'll go ahead and put the happiness one right next to Winnipeg. I'll be optimistic. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. It is not going to be a fantastic July the 1st on July the 1st for the free agents. But I will find a way to make that live stream entertaining on July the 1st. I'd better start planning now, because it looks like it's going to be Panarin and whichever restricted free agents don't have their option picked up by the team, which usually those aren't the headliners either. But at any rate, there you go. Let me know your thoughts. Which teams do you think are in a really good position? Which teams do you think are not? And which of the names on the board do you expect get signed before the trade deadline? And which of the restricted free agents are going to attract a lot of money outside of Bedard? We know Bedard's going to make a lot. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. I will talk to you again soon.